Imagine you move from a place where you lived all your life. Imagine you move and you leave all your children and wife. Starting all over again, but no one you know is around. Well, they didn't have to imagine. They built it up from the ground. How does it sound? Not easy cause it isn't. Could have phased them, but it didn't. But the raid bond, that's a winner. And they ran straight to the finish. You get to know them up close and personal. Wait, just give me a minute. Welcome to the front row. Can I get a drum roll? Intentional. We may be immigrants, but we are still intentional. We are dependable. It's just that set the bar, but still the best of all, we are intentional.
Welcome to the Intentional Immigrants podcast. I'm so delighted that you're able to join us here today. My name is Yolanda Jack. You've gotten the green light. All your paperwork has come through, and you've gotten the green light to migrate to a new country. How can you ensure that your children are successful in the process? How can you ensure that they make a smooth transition or a smoother transition to the new country? Yes, we are aware that it will not be easy. Think about it. They are leaving their friends, they are leaving their families, they are leaving up everything that they are familiar with behind. How can you set them up for success? That's what Sania Dookie and I will be discussing today. This is the first of a two-part series, and Sania will be providing tips and strategies that we need to have in our toolkits as parents to ensure that once we have moved to the new country, our children have moved along with us and are successful in their new endeavors, in their new environment. Sania Dookie is a registered social worker. Her specialization is mental health in children and youth. Her role is empowering children and youth with tools and strategies so that they can live successful lives. Let's listen as Sania tells us what to do and how to do it successfully. Hi, Sania. Welcome to the Intentional Immigrants podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here.
Okay, you're welcome. All right, so today we're going to be talking about migrating to a new country as immigrants, as parents. We're going to be discussing what are some of the things that we can do for a successful transition for our children and for ourselves as well. So we'll be talking a bit as well about if you have any case studies that you'd like to share, examples of what not to do, what to do.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I'm aware that a lot of immigrants immigrate to wherever they are going to for different reasons. And so for myself personally, I'm an immigrant. I came to Canada as a student and decided to make here my home. But there are different circumstances why people would immigrate to another country. And so to help with the transition, it always helps to know about where you're going, or at least have an idea of where you're going, what to expect. And talk about these expectations with your children. If they have a picture in their mind of what it may look like, then chances are when they're there, they would have been more mentally prepared for whatever encounters they will start having. And so that would be a first step for those who are thinking about immigrating overseas. Research the country you're going, research the area in which you're going to be going, activities for your children, and what that would look like, and talk to them about it. Show them pictures depending on the ages, and mentally that will definitely help your children to be more I guess, mentally prepared for what's happening. The other thing too is when you get them involved in activities in the community, that really helps them to feel at home. Because there's a lot of children or teen activities that are available. And a big part of an individual feeling comfortable is really being a part of things. Okay. So that's one of the things I say, look into, get them into some activities if you can. And, if we can't afford it right away, there are fundings that are usually available in communities that will help with these things as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that is get them involved in the process of making decisions in terms of like schoolings. You could, what we did as well is to look at schools. So we had like 2 schools. Most of the schools are online. So you can actually do a virtual, quote unquote, a virtual tour of the school itself or of the community. Like what are some highlights or some places that the community would be famous for, or what are some activities or places they can go to get involved in activities?
Yes.
Did I get that right?
You got it. You're on point there.
Okay. What else can you tell us about? What about the fact that they are leaving their friends behind?
Yes. And that's a big thing. Immigrating is a huge opportunity for families. And sometimes we can look at the cherry, like, wow, I'm immigrating. But at the same time, there is a certain amount of loss that exists with that. Your children, they have to leave what they know, what they knew. They have to leave that behind. They have to leave the friends, probably the friendships that they've developed for years since they were born. They have to leave that behind and come into a new place, and a place that's strange to them. And, they're not sure how their peers are going to receive them and all that stuff. But, let's talk about the grief part first. Is you want to be open about that with them, to say, hey, you know what? We're going into a new place, and chances are you're going to miss your friends. You're going to miss the things that you used to do. You're going to miss the one season. If you're from a hot country, you're going to miss that one season. You could go under the mango tree and just play around or eat, You're going to miss those things. But then you want to end that conversation with hope, and hope that, you know what, I think we're also going to do really well in this new place. That way it gives your child the opportunity to process in the sense that it gets them to think realistically about what may happen and talk about it. Even if it sounds silly, you get to talk to them about these things. You get to know what's on their mind. And so it definitely makes the adjustment period easier. And when you reach wherever you are, you also want to debrief with your children. How are you doing? I know that we have been going through a lot of transitions lately, but I want to know how you are doing. Zone in on them and let them know, hey, if you need anything, if you have any difficulties, please talk with me. The second part of it is you want to help them to be prepared in terms of meeting new people and what that interaction would look like. Get them prepared for that. I know a lot of children, they would want to fit in so badly that they would probably get into the crowd that is not necessarily the healthiest for them. And so that these are things you want to talk about to help your children or your teens say, you know what, know yourself, know what we're about. Yes, there are going to be influences, but be grounded in who you are and be patient. Be yourself, and people will love you for you. The true, genuine people will love you for you. And that will help them to an extent, when they're making that friend selection or the people they need to hang out with. And that will definitely help them to be aware and be more focused when they come into a new place. But needless to say, it still can be daunting for individuals, for children, mentally and emotionally. So these are some of the things that you want to look out for when a child comes when you move with your family. You want to look out for behavioral changes. Are they more irritable? Are they acting out more? Are they answering back more? And a lot of times we might say, oh yeah, you're in a foreign country now, so you think you can answer back. Sometimes it's really, they're probably having a hard time adjusting, and so that's their way of responding. And of course, you want to look for if they're feeling, if they look a little bit down sometimes, or it could be the opposite, which is they're very worried, very antsy, very on edge, right? They're out asking a lot of questions. Then it could indicate that maybe they're having some form of, anxiety symptoms about, for example, they have to go to school, right? Are we going to school again? Do we have to go? Why do I have to go there? Why do I have to wear this? And sometimes we may see a little bit of defiance too in our children. And for us, it may look as, oh, that is so rude. But really, sometimes we can look at emotionally, how are they doing? Are they feeling stressed about anything? And that is causing them to be irritable and lashing back and so forth. I know in some cases too, it's, taking me from my friends and everything I know to a new country, maybe feelings of a little bit of a resentment, and it's a part of the grief process. It's normal. If it's happening, it's normal, right? So what you want to do is actually help your child through it in a positive way. Talk to them to say, yes, I know you're having a rough time. I know where this, you did lose a lot, leaving, but we're going to get through this. I believe in you, and let's work through this together. And that this really helps to reassure your child or your teen, and let them know that no matter what, we still have each other. No matter what struggles we go through, we still have each other. And that's what we want to build, because going into a new country, there's so many influences. So you want to build that togetherness, that we're here for each other no matter what.
Okay. All right. Any other tips you want to share with? We'll have to have a part 2 for this discussion.
I think so. I think so. I'm just really touching on the mental health, emotional aspect, and things to look out for or be aware of. And taking on a preventative approach. That's really what I'm looking for. I discussed earlier, but I know when we talk about emotional, mental health, depending on where we are from, it may not even be a topic or a conversation, in wherever we're from.
In our culture.
In our
right? Home culture.
Yes, and it may actually be stigmatized, right? Children, for example, a lot of people believe that children and teens can struggle with depression and anxiety. But in fact, statistics show that the teen, especially the teenage population, they, along with the seniors population, have the highest amount of occurrence of mental health disorders.
Okay, wow.
Yes. Teenagers and seniors in Canada, the Canadian stats.
In the Canadian environment? Why would that be so?
There's a lot of, it could be a lot of reasons. I know teenagers are going through a lot of changes.
Body-wise.
Just the body changes alone can predispose a teen to struggling with mood dysregulation. Sometimes they're down and they don't even know why, because of their neurochemicals and brain changes going on. Also, demands are placed on them, and yes, it's life, it's a part of life, schoolwork and all that stuff, but it doesn't excuse the fact that it is actually stressful on them. Just like our jobs are stressful on us. Yes, we're adults and we got responsibilities. They have responsibilities too, which is to keep up their grades and to perform at the optimum level as our expectations are of them. That is stressful on their human self, right? We're talking about them trying to figure out their self, their identity. In terms of who they are as a person and who they are with their friends. And so imagine like a whole group of teens trying to figure that out. There's going to be a lot of clashes. There's going to be a lot of changes going on, dynamics, and that's stressful in itself. So these are things that can really be predisposing factors for causing mental health issues. We're talking about other things too, like sleep changes, not getting enough sleep, could be studying more, just going to bed later. And teens generally their body needs more hours, like 10 hours. But they're gonna feel like they don't need that amount of hours. It's like it's very conflicting. And then there are some other factors as well, like are they living a healthy lifestyle? Like are they active? And so that's why I was saying earlier that we need to try to see if we could get them in some sport, something in the community to be a part of, because socially that is very therapeutic for teens. For children, it's very therapeutic, it's very healthy for them. If they're isolated, they're not communicating with anyone or making friends, they're shut down, they're more predisposed to definitely struggling with emotional regulation concerns. They're stuck on entertaining themselves on TV videos and so forth. And those are other factors as well that can predispose one. So there are many things that can cause a teen to struggle with mental health concerns. But it's very important for us to not stigmatize this and actually see them as the little and young developing humans that they are. Just as how we would want someone to see us and how we're experiencing things and struggling, we definitely want to see our children in that way and treat them that way, because when we don't treat them that way, they will feel it because they need that validation. They will feel it and they will pull away from us and they will go to whoever will listen to them.
Okay.
So we want to keep those in mind.
Okay. Sania, thank you very much for sharing with us today. We will have a part 2 to this. We will be discussing grief in a lot more details, as well as we'll be exploring the different age ranges. We'll be exploring the different age ranges so that we can have an idea, or parents can have an idea as to help these children or our children if they are at a certain age. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in part 2.
Okay, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you to the following persons and websites who made this podcast possible. Sania Dookie of Dookie's Psychological Services. Xavier Anderson for providing music. The Intentional Immigrants podcast can be found on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and YouTube. Go ahead, like, share, and subscribe. We are working on our website, which is taking a bit longer than expected, but we will have that in a little bit. Until next time, I am your host, Yolanda Jack, reminding you, he who watches the wind will not sow, he who watches the clouds will not reap. Ecclesiastes 11, verse 4. You were born for greatness. Step out into your greatness so that mankind can benefit from you being here. So long, until next time.
Intentional. We may be immigrants, but we are still intentional. We are dependable. It's just that set the bar.